This is our fourth year holding this ceremony and the third time conducting it virtually. We are very pleased you are able to join us this evening. With all that has been happening and what we've gone through, this opportunity for community, for reflection, and for remembrance has never been more important. We're grateful for the chance to connect with all of you this evening and to honor your loved one who passed away in the hospital in 2021. Whatever your experience has been, I hope this sense of community is something you will appreciate. I'm joined this evening by a number of colleagues from the hospital, including Kiki Ferrari, Osler's Chief Operating Officer, Mary Jane McNally, Osler's Chief Patient Experience Officer, and Augustus Oku, a coordinator with our Spiritual Health, Therapy, and Education team, as well as other members of this organization's committees for Osler's Equity, Inclusion, and Anti-Discrimination, Ethics, Spiritual Health Therapy, and Public Relations team. I'm also pleased to welcome one of Osler's patient and family advisors, Hema Ramlochan, who will be providing a reading. In addition, this evening we are joined by members of Osler's staff and physicians who want to come together with you as well. This past year has impacted our Osler team profoundly, and many of them are here to share in the memory of those who have been lost. This evening, we're coming together to honor cherished patients and loved ones, to acknowledge our shared loss and grief. The Osler team is here to support your journey of healing. After this session, and at any time in the future, our spiritual health therapy staff is available to you for confidential virtual counseling sessions. More information about this is in this evening's program. Before we begin, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that the land on which I am on, and likely many of you, is part of the treaty lands and territory of Mississaugas of the Credit, traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwa-Chippewa sovereign nations. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties, as well as the Dish with One Spoon, Wampum Belt Covenant. On this day, our meeting places are still occupied by many Indigenous people, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. In doing so, we give our respect to the first inhabitants. I'll now ask Kiki Ferrari, Osler's Chief Operating Officer, to begin our program with a poem by Maya Angelou, entitled When Great Trees Fall. Kiki, please.
Thank you, Frank, and good evening, everyone. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory, suddenly sharpened, examines, gnaws on kind words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same. Whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiki. At this time, I'd like to introduce John Marshman, Osler's former Associate Vice President, Facilities Operations, who has provided music especially for this event as it holds a special place in his heart. John is an accomplished cellist and will play a short musical interlude before we move to our act of remembrance. John? Thank you, John. Your music always inspires the soul. I'd now like to ask Augustus Oku, coordinator with Osler's Spiritual Health Therapy and Education team, to say a few words. Augustus?
Thank you, Frank. Today, we gather to remember and celebrate the lives of our loved ones that we have lost. The majority of 2021, we lived a COVID-19 pandemic reality. 2021 was marked with many challenges, and for many of us, experiences of compounded grief. We experienced our regular way of life being turned upside down with losses too many to count. We may not have been able to publicly mourn our loved ones' deaths in the traditional way with the government restrictions in place for much of the year. This saw limiting in-person visitors to our hospital buildings, and for many, limiting how many people were able to attend funerals or celebrations of life for loved ones. For many of us, we have not had our regular supports of seeing extended family and friends in person throughout our grieving process. This may add to our feelings of isolation and sadness in our time of need. We are thankful as we gradually, consciously begin to live our regular lives once again. Hopefully, we will never return to where we were 2 years ago. As we hold this in mind, we are reminded that they that love beyond the world cannot be separated by it. Death cannot kill what never dies. That's a quote by William Penn. And to die completely, a person must not only forget, but be forgotten. And he who is not forgotten is not dead. That's another quote from Samuel Butler. So today we gather as a community virtually to remember the mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends, and of course, patients that we have lost here at Usla. And we honor their memory and celebrate their lives together.
Thank you, Augustus. I'd now like to ask Mary Jane McNally, Chief Patient Experience Officer at Osler, to lead the act of remembrance in honor of your friends, loved ones, and our cared for patients. Mary Jane?
Thank you, Frank, and welcome everyone. So special for us to come together, and very grateful that you've been able to join us this evening. This portion of the program is our actual honoring and remembrance ceremony. And at this time, we are going to ask everyone to unmute themselves. So just take a moment for everyone to do that. If you're not sure how to do that, the Zoom guide that we provided will give you some instructions. We're also going to ask that people do not audio record our time together, just in the spirit of confidentiality. But at the time that we're actually mentioning your family member or loved one's name, feel free, if you'd like to record at that time, and any other comments that you'll be making.